your speakers on.
Okay,
Can you talk so I can? hear the
okay, I'm
audio?
talking and seeing where we're at.
You, Tom,
Oh,
or Ross.
Valerie, say something. Valerie, can you? Hey,
Hey, I just got back to the basement.
okay.
I'm pouring honey tonight.
Move this table?
Yeah.
I can't see anybody. I can't see anybody.
Okay, that's.
That's, there goes the owl. And I just unplugged it. I unplugged it, sorry. Now we gotta find out where it plugs in.
It's good to have a tech guru. Yeah.
I'm too old. Okay. One. Can you? Okay, now we need to go back to the power.
Hey,
Okay, does that work?
I can see stuff. Yes.
Val, what you missed is it's Tom Krutz's birthday, so sing him happy birthday. The next meeting, next group is at Papa G's in Down. Next meeting is Tom Panconen and Arthur on no PM testing, and elections will be coming up at the end of the year. All right. Okay. Now I'll turn it over to you. Introduce yourself, kiddo.
Hey guys, my name's Rob Preston. My wife, kind of a passion project. And ended up taking on a life of its own. Anyway, PK asked me if I'd come and talk to you guys about bottling and labeling. Most of you guys, is there anybody in here that's like the first year? Okay, so some people in here have not really done this to any real degree yet. And we'll try to stay with you guys, and some of you guys are pretty big.
But we can always learn more.
Well, and that's just it. So what I'm going to do for you guys, I'm probably going to go a little bit on the high side with this thing, about more of a bottom thing. I do commercially sell honey, but I'll try to catch a little bit of everything. We have a lot of helpers. Like that's my son in the Lord. He actually goes to. We have an educational right outside of hotel. We bring in hundreds and hundreds of kids every year. Teach them about stewardship of the environment, teach them about taking care of bees, taking care of trees, the relationship with the earth, nature, you take care of trees. So we try to cover all that. So, we had a good year. How many of you have honey? So you're in a situation now where you're probably right around now you're stuck about extraction, or if you're like me, you're extracting a portion of the summer.
All right, Val, can you hear us okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you better.
So you guys are doing this right. You're probably loading up the pocket. You are. This is the way we usually do it. I like the standard shut off. A little messier, but just like the bottom. But these I got from Tom. They stick all the time, and I can't put them on the floor under my extractor because do that. They sit here. So they're great from the shelf. It's like a standard 5-gallon bucket, dump it into that. That's it. I think we have a bunch of these stack, pick them up and run through them. So anyway, you've got a lot of honey, and you have options, right? So you don't really know what those options are yet, but you have to think about what you're gonna do. What's your purpose for having something you got? Are you gonna sell it? Are you gonna keep it? Are you gonna give it to friends? Okay, so are you gonna be bottling for sale to customers? Are you bottling for personal use? Are you just storing it for later consumption? Or are you, like we do, we infuse into dozens of products. I only brought 1 or 2 today. But we make lotion, lip balm, sugar scrubs, and soaps, linen spray. We make all this huge plethora of things that we build, and we use honey in every single one of them. Okay, so none of you are probably at that point yet, because what I do, that's going to be integrated into our conversation. Okay, so when you're deciding what type of storage to use, it's dependent on the purpose that you're using it for. Okay, bottling for personal consumption, we have talked about this just a little earlier. For family and friends, generally means looking for affordability, ease of storage. These are cheap, they're easy. Okay, this can mean anything from 5-gallon containers to reusable plastic jars, mason jars. You can use with standard honey, because honey doesn't go bad. You just want to kind of keep moisture out. Okay, so you can use just about anything. You can use peanut butter and jelly jars, pickle or mayonnaise jars, juice containers, salad dressing containers, or I use a lot of milk jugs. I have people that want a gallon at a time, and so I just tell them, you supply the jug, I'll give you a cup rate. They just show up, I run them out a gallon of honey, and then they pay me. I didn't have to bottle, I didn't have to label. Easy peasy for me. So you can pretty much put honey in just about anything. For retail, like you're going to sell to somebody, if you have 2 or 3 hives and you're a relatively successful beekeeper, you're going to end up with a good supply of honey. You're not going to be able to use all that honey. Okay, so you're probably going to either give it to friends or family, or you're going to sell. Now, is there anybody here that has over 5 hives? Okay, you're selling honey. You know you're selling honey. You're not hanging on to that. I bought my extractor. It's too much honey. You're too involved. You're going to sell it, especially if you're paying for things like extractors and stuff. Once you start at that level, you're selling your honey. Okay, so when you're going to do this, there's a level that there's all different levels of sales. Okay, they're selling friends, they're selling to family, they're selling retail, they're selling wholesale. There's all these different things you can do. When you're building a company, like we just took ours from scratch, we started with 2 hives like you guys, you know, and it just, I just fell in love with these stupid bees, and I just kept getting bigger and bigger, and I couldn't stop myself. You know, you end up with John calls me and he's like, oh, I got 17 hives. You want them? Yeah, what the heck, I'll take them. You know, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll take them. So anyway, you're gonna decide the niche that you're aiming for. Especially when you're commercially, like I'm not huge, I'm not selling in stores, I won't do wholesale sale because there's no profit in it for me. I'm doing all the work in the bees. I'm doing all the work, and then I'm cutting a rate for somebody to take it. That rate comes off of my profit. Why would I do that when I can sell everything myself at market, online, or through social media? Okay, so when you're going to do this, you're going to decide what is the niche you're aiming for. If you decide you want to sell, if you got 8 or 10 hives, you're going to be selling a lot of honey. Okay, are you going to go modern? Are you going to go elegant? rustic? Are you gonna go country or old school, you know? Each of these has a specific audience that you're gonna be aiming for, okay? You wanna appeal to the largest common denominator with a multiple style blend of styles, okay? When you look at this is an old school, right? This is an old jar. When you look at this, that's new, that's 3D technology, okay? That's 3D printing. Okay, they've been doing this a while, but I saw, you know, I started looking at wine bottles I was up in Alaska. I was looking at wine bottles and they always get that wax. And I thought, that's really slick, you know, so people would really like it. So then I started melting beeswax, put it in there. But you're blending old with new, covers a lot of ground. It appeals to a lot of people. Then when you change this is stupid, it sounds stupid, but you change different colors, people like that. They're really into the aesthetic, and you'll get people standing to buy this argue about which tag they want, what color tag they want in their kitchen. And that tells me that's a good idea, okay? And so I stick with that. People like that. So you want to use bottles that reflect the audience you're aiming for. I generally use regular bottles, but a lot of our hot products, like these, we use a dark bottle with a dark lid because it's slightly more elegant. You know, I mean, people will pay for something that's nice like this. You do this, it costs more, you gotta buy the bottle, but the upcharge on this is 60% from a standard pound. So I'm charging $16 a bottle for these. And people like those because you can put them on the counter and you can show them in your house. People look at that and they ring them back because they want to keep them for flower bases. So use bottles that reflect the audience you're aiming for. Choose bottles in accordance with your personal taste. I don't want to work with a bottle that I don't like to look at. I want to work with something I enjoy. Now, I like a little bit of everything, but my company, when we first built this company, I said I want to be a slight bit of elegance to my company. I want to look a little bit better than the standard mason jar that's out there with honey in it, you know. And so that's the route we took. We did the label. This is nice. This is I designed it and then I had a guy at Fiverr did it for me, did the way I wanted him to. Make sure they're good enough quality to last. I can't stress this one enough. And my sister and I, because we're in this together, we used to argue about this. And I said, you're not going to use janky second-rate bottles that you bought at a garage sale somewhere. You're going to use straight up, you're going to buy bottles that look nice, that are tough, because people drop them all the time. I don't want to have to replace stuff. Whenever somebody breaks a jar, which they do it all the time, I replace it if they're within sight of me. Just because I think it's the right thing to do, and that's how we built our company. But you want stuff that's a little tougher. So shoot for at least mid-range bottles that can take a drop without bursting. There's some cheap bottles out there, some really cheap stuff. As soon as it hits pavement, it cracks. And the plastic is really, it comes in all different styles of toughness. Find bottles that will accept your labels through multiple sizes. When you look at a pound bottle, that label also fits on a 3/4 pound bear, okay? I'll get into why we do that later. But these lip balms, oops, as tiny as they are, that's the same label size, okay? It's just wrapped around. So when you do that, you want to make sure you can go through multiple. And that's okay. Most of you are probably never going to do this, but this is the way Tippy works. Okay, we are trying to go for efficiency all the time. You're trying to be economical, not spend too much money. It's cheaper to buy the same labels with a different design on them. Okay, every time you use the same size label, even if it's got a different design, they drop the price like by a quarter. Okay, so if I do 5 or 6 different labels, which is what I do, by the time I get to the bottom of ordering those labels, it's way cheaper for me instead of ordering 6 different sizes of labels.
What's the your online up there later?
What is it?
What's the name of the company you do your labels?
Oh, online labels, if that's who I chose, there's a lot of them, I mean, you can go right over to, you know, like the old Pit Printing or Staples, they'll do labels for you, but they cost more. Okay, you're paying for that expediency of them doing it, and you come back in a few hours and your labels are done. I like to design my own labels. Online printing has a system where you can design your own, or you can upload a graphic. You put it on the label, they send it, and you got it within 5 or 6 days. And you can order as many as you want. The more you order, the cheaper it goes. When you get up into the 1,000 range, it gets really cheap. And that's what I'm looking for, because every dollar I save is a dollar in my pocket instead of, you know, somewhere else. Okay, so where do your, this is it. The labeling is where your ideas become art and your art becomes the face of your product. I take a lot of pride in my products, okay? I want my products to reflect my company. And when people look at Tippy Creek, I want them to say, that's pretty nice. You know, I want them to always realize they're buying a quality product. Reflected by doing that, I'm not gonna buy labels off the internet. I'm not gonna buy, I mean, I'll buy them, but they're my design. I'm not gonna buy pre-done labels and then write in the weights and things like that. And you know, that's, but because I'm dealing with thousands of people, I wanna have representative across the board with really nice stuff. So I designed this design and then I talked to a guy and I wanted him to 3-dimensional it. If you looked at that design up closely, it's 3-dimensional in design. You want to make sure your label appeals to men and women. You know, when you go to a market or you sell, both sexes are there. Men and women are there. Men like things differently than women, okay? Women like soft, subtle, and like nice smells, and they don't want an aggressive picture, okay? So you got this cutesy little bee here, but then the rest of it is cool, okay? So it appeals, the bee appeals to the ladies, and the kids really like that bee. So once you've decided to go with this, you go with it through everything. You use that label through all your designs on all your products, because again, you're trying to build brand recognition. Okay, so when they look at a mug, oh, it's Tippy. When they look at this, oh, it's Tippy. They can tell because it's on everything we sell. Okay, you want to make sure you include your company, the product name. This is for you. You're going to label and sell. Weight and your contact info. The health department is very particular that you have this stuff. I almost never go to a market that Justin isn't freaking sneaking around looking in different tests. And he's the health department in Peoria. Okay, and he's always there. But he walks right by me. He'll stop and he'll say hi. Never checks our products because he knows everything is labeled exactly the way it's supposed to be. By law in this state, you have to list that stuff. You have to tell what the product is, the weight of that product, and you have to have your contact info on it. The reason I stress this is put it on one label. Okay, you'll see a lot of people put one on the front and the back. Honey doesn't require a nutritional label on the back. You don't one label because you're going to pay for that label. If you're talking about economy, one label is less than 2 labels. Okay, and when you're getting into the large labels, you know, like these, you're going to get 20 on a page. That if you know, maybe they're 25 cents, 30 cents a piece. But when you run that out over 1,000 labels, that's a lot of money out of your pocket.
Oh, no.
Yep.
I have a question. Okay, so you've got the one, where are you putting the weight on it?
It's right on the front. It's right on the front. It says 1 pound, the 2 pounds and grams. It's the contact information.
Okay, but you're using that same label on different.
Different design. The next one will say 3/4 of a pound. And so most of the labels, not all of them, but most of them are going to be somewhat the same. Now, like on these, I'm going to pay, but I got to pay full price for it. I can't use it across multiple products.
Because you had the 1 pound and the bear, and you said that was the same label.
Yeah, and these are the same labels, the lip balms.
So,
They're the same size.
okay,
When you order from this company, the more labels you order, you can change the design all you want.
Okay.
Okay, like when I run different colors, the labels are different colors. Every time I change that, just because I'm ordering the same size, price still goes down. Which a lot of companies are gonna charge you every time you change up a design. Well, online labels doesn't do that with me. They lower the cost with every bundle I order. Okay. And like I said, you want to make sure your logo will transfer through and work well with other products you may decide to sell. Maybe you don't want to sell anything but honey. Okay, and that's great, but you're gonna have different size bottles. You know, you're gonna have to change those bottles. You want to be that logo to be on each one. Now, when I started out, I was just buying my stuff at Farm and Fleet. You know, I was buying pre-made labels. You can get pre-made labels all day long. And that works great until you decide to step into like commercial viability. Okay, then you want kind of go away from that. I have a lot of friends that sell at markets on, you know, the Peoria Riverfront. There's always one or two guys down there selling honey, and that's awesome. And you'll see the ones that kind of stretch into, as soon as they get a little bit bigger, they go for the professional logo and they stop buying the labels, the pre-made labels. Okay, you want to ensure that your logo or label will endure for multiple seasons. Everything, I've never taken a business class. I have no clue about running business except that I run a business, okay? Everything you see here is stuff that I've learned over time, okay? Don't get topically specific with your label. You don't want to take something's popular right now, so that's what you throw on your label. I'm paying somebody to take my design and make it look really professional, okay? I want that to last for at least 8 or 10 years. I don't want to change that. You know, you don't see Rice Krispies changing Snap, Crackle, Pop. They might put them in a different thing, but they don't change them. They don't go with something topical because something is popular right now because they want it to last a long time. Now, I'm no Rice Krispies, but I do want my product to last a long time. Okay, what type of label? Are you labeling for personal use or for retail sales? Yep.
I just have a question about your logo. Do you trademark that?
Are you what?
Do you trademark it or?
I didn't. No. So I mean, nobody's gonna steal my little logo. It's not, I'm not, and this is something I'm talking to Tom about. I shouldn't probably talk to him. We're thinking about going next step. Like, we sell a lot of honey right now. My wife, who's a business major, she got her MBA from Bradley. She wants to go national. And I'm like, I'm a retired guy. I don't want to do that. I'm working with 40 hives. I don't want to be busting my back for, you know, and then have to hire employees and stuff. It's just too much. But my wife wants to do it. And so I've got to find, huh?
So you're doing it.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I don't want to have hundreds of hives. I don't have time to manage what I have now. So are you labeling for personal use or for retail sale? That's a big difference. If you're just doing it for home, you can take a piece of duct tape and put a marker on it and hand it to somebody or give it to friends. Or you can just buy pre-made labels at the store. If you're gonna do a few more, you can print them up at home on your printer, okay? I can't do that because my stuff, because it's out at market, it's in the elements. Printed at home, it's gonna bleed all over the place if it rains. If it gets wet or cold, those labels are gonna come off. You know, they're not gonna work. Yeah,
What do you think of Cricut made logos?
yeah, that would work. You could do that. I've got a Cricut in my shop. So, you know, you could, the only thing is that I want a waterproof logo that uses waterproof ink. And my printers are set up for sublimation because we make like these mugs and stuff. So I have a sublimation printer, but there's certain things that aren't economically feasible for me to do. So, and I hate working with Cricuts because they're complicated. I actually pay a gal to come in and run the Cricut for me. So personal use means you can simply just use tape and a marker. Okay, for a bit better look, designer purchase a label and just fill it in. You can fill the weights in it. You can put your name on it. I have lots of friends that do that. Or for something original, design and then print your own on your home computer. There you get the cool thing about having a company is you get to do stuff kind of what you want to do. Like you were talking about the trailer. When I designed my trailer, I got to put everything in that I wanted to put in it. It's got docking stations, it's got USB ports, it's got inside lights, it's got air conditioning, heaters. it's got everything I want, and I did it myself, which is kind of cool. So if you're possibly gonna sell in markets, in bulk or in large numbers, use an online printing service, because their stuff is guaranteed, it lasts, if you put it out in the cold or the heat, it's not gonna bleed if it gets wet, and it's gonna stay on the jar. Some of the stuff, you're trying to get stuff to adhere to plastic, and it just doesn't want to work well. For the best labels, work with high gloss, weatherproof, that won't wash off, fade, or smear with rain or finger smudges. Okay? These labels come with a pre-adhesive and will remain firmly affixed in inclement conditions. I don't sell a lot in inclement conditions, but here we're coming into fall, it's getting rainy. If you ever see our display, everything is outside the trailer. We don't keep anything inside. We set up a big display. We use the trailer as the backdrop. So all of our product is outside. So whenever we get a spot in a big market, we always require that we face a certain way so the sun's not hitting, because we don't use chemicals in our products. We have to face a certain way, and we use the trailer as a backdrop. Always remember that you'll get what you pay for. And my wife is the one to talk. I was always trying to save a buck. And when you do that, you can run into some janky stuff. And then you got to explain to your wife why this is not working or that is not working. And it's just, she says, she'll always tell me, you get what you pay for. And she's always a firm believer, the right tool for the job. This is my wife talking, not me. My wife works at Caterpillar. She's in management. She's very smart. And she's taught me a lot about running a business. Okay, some simple labeling tips. If you're buying for bulk, choose labels that can be used on multiple products. We talked about that here. If I'm gonna buy 2,000, 3,000 labels, I wanna use them on everything, okay? I'm gonna have to change the print, but if I can use the same size, my price is gonna go down precipitously, okay? Prices drop if size remains the same. Remember, light on dark and dark on light. There's so many people that design a label and then print it up and put it on their thing, you can't even read it. Because and that's fine if you're putting it on your computer, because you can just go change it. But if you order something, you want to make sure it's going to look good on what you're putting it on. Try to put all the information on one label. We talked about that. Profit is lost every time you plop a second label on you. I had products that I was putting 3 labels on. Really counterproductive from a business profit perspective. Labeling is time consuming. One label, when you're sitting, you guys know, when you're sitting labeling, it gets really mundane. I mean, you get, I just sit in a chair, and like today I did about 150 bottles. I'm like, is this ever gonna end, But if I can do it with one bottle, now like on these, I put 2, because they're so small, I can't put the information that's readable, so I have to make a little round one to put on the top. That means I got a label, for this little bitty bottle, I gotta do twice the effort. There's the trailer. That's a trailer on the lower. So if you ever see a big bee trailer with bees all over it, that's the trailer. So, did you want anything specific about that?
It's just, showing others, I was, that was a cool idea to be able to have that trailer lights and be able to open it up so that square where his logo is, that kind of tips up, so he's got like a window.
Yeah, originally I bought this as a motorcycle trailer. We'd load the Harleys up and go riding, or go to California and ride the Pacific Coast Highway. Well, then my wife got in an accident and shattered her. She got a concussion and collapsed the lung, shattered her collarbone, and that was it. She was never gonna ride with me again. So I thought, well, I'll sell my bike too, because I don't want to ride alone. So anyway, it was just sitting in the back property for like 3 years. And then my sister was getting sick and was thinking about quitting her side of the business. And so I thought, you know what, I can fix this. So I took it into a company here in Bloomington that does retrofitting, and they put those big doors. There's actually one up front here too. That the plan was to sell, because we have apple trees, was to sell apple cider out of that. Well, in the health department, of course, doing what the health department does, they got in there and said, well, you gotta have a kitchen inside, you gotta have all this stuff, you gotta have a license, you gotta have permits. I said, selling apple cider, that's just way too much work for me. So anyway, you can see the reason I threw it in here is there's the label, there's the label, there's the label, there's the label. It's on everything we sell, okay? And then people see our sign and they know it's Tippy Creek. Okay, bottles, jars, and labels work in tandem to promote your products. You want to be sure that everything's going to fit. When you put things together, you want it to fit. You want people to look at it and go, that's cool looking, you know? Because my sister's a big fan of garage sales. If she could get 3 boxes of used mason jars, she would throw her product in mason jars and she would just stick it out there with labels from her printer on. I said, you're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that because that's not our company. So especially when you're selling to the public, understand that aesthetics, how things look, is really important. Your look says who you are as a company. Realize that your container and its label work towards sales. People walk by and then stop because of the presentation we put out. I had a guy from Europe who's he has 150 hives, lives in Europe, could barely understand what he was saying. He came up, he said, this is the nicest presentation he said I've ever seen. And he said, would you mind if I videotaped it to take home? And I said, no, go ahead. So last weekend he's walking around with his camera. I don't know if he's stealing my ideas or what he's doing, but you know, he seemed like a nice guy. So if you're building a brand, which is what we're doing, stay consistent over the long term with your design. Okay, labels and logos should be capable of moving from one product to another product to build brand recognition. Even when I do these crates, when we do a charity event and we donate $100 worth of product, it goes in a laser burned crate. And that crate has our logo on it. So it's just everything you see in there has got our logo on it, which seems kind of like, well, why is he even talking about it? That is not the way it's supposed to be. But it's, you know, a lot of people don't do that. You just walk up and it's really random. I don't like random. So in larger numbers, shoot for efficiency. This is a big one with me. If I don't shoot for efficiency, if I don't shoot for economy, I don't make any money. Because I would go overboard with putting stuff in containers that cost too much. I'd be buying all these exotic labels. I'd be buying machinery to do it for me, you know. But my wife's the one who said, you need to just shoot for efficiency because otherwise you're not going to have any profit at the end of the year. The profit we make, the agreement I had with my wife was, we buy this property and we build this educational center, I can pay for it with product. And so that's what we do, is we sell and we sell and we sell. And then we bank the money, and then that carries us through the winter and into spring. It covers the taxes, it covers the insurance, it covers the upkeep on the building, it covers utilities, it covers new bees in the spring, it covers that trailer you saw. Okay, that's why we do it. And then we can bring in, because of the money we make with honey, we can bring in groups of children. Well, we bring in Bradley University comes out there. We just bring in students and we can teach them about bees and about stewardship of the environment. It's really a nice trade-off. So while selling is fun, bottling and labeling can become tedious, as every one of you's got more than 2 hives now. Yeah, the ones with 2 and less or 3 and less are like, it's anytime, you know. The rest of us are like, crap, I got to bottle all this stuff. Always shoot for the most efficient method of accomplishing any facet in the whole process. Boredom leads to dull minds, which in turn leads to mistakes. One of the things I do to relieve my boredom is get volunteers. I get people to come in and do stuff for me. I teach them how to do it, but they get the benefit in the end because they all walk away just loving it. They call me and ask if they can come back. We have people calling us just randomly saying, we came to a presentation, do you take helpers out there? And we'll say, yeah, come out and help, you know. So there's your hat. All right, always remember, this is supposed to be fun. Beekeeping is a gift. I look at beekeeping as a gift. I am blessed to be able to work with my girls. Those is just the most rewarding thing, to be around bees all the time, to be able to work with them all the time, and then to be able to teach others how to do it too. Okay, honey is a treasure. We as keepers are fortunate to be able to work with these amazing creatures. Be humble, work hard, and understand how lucky you are to be able to do this. We're all in this together, and I thank you for your time. Thanks, Ron.
There's the Wild Harvest Honey, they have more of like a boutique. And their bottles of honey, because it's primarily female, they almost look like perfume bottles.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any guys in that store?
They're the, not men, but they do, but they all made them kind of like an eco shirt.
You didn't.
Yeah, so they kind of did,
I didn't say anything bad.
an eco-tourism where they do like fairy garden walks and stuff like that along with the bees and they would teach.
Again, any guys?
No. So basically,
Right. You know, when you do that, you're cutting out half your possible buying potential.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't wanna alienate anybody when you're trying to build a company. You wanna be able to build for everyone. So, that's what we do. How long have you been here? He's stuck right in.
he was here before you started.
Really?
You didn't notice those yellow shoes?
Man, he's got ninja skill. So anyway, here's an example of our labels. I'll pass these around to you guys. And you can see, I mean, there's more, but they're different, but the size is always the same. So, when I shop for size, I'm shopping for something that covers as much product as I can, because every time I order, 50, 100 of those pages, the price drops. Because everything's computerized now. Changing the design is nothing. Changing the template costs you money.
Here's mine, can you evaluate it?
Yeah, I like that. That would be like, just, what do they call it? Like, not old world, but I like it. It's nice, and so you get to write the way that.
Yeah.
Now, your prices, do you have a sticker for prices or how do you? Or just, you put your price on your bottle?
Now, when you come to market, we have menu boards. And so we're gonna put new menu boards, because what happens is the cost of everything is going up. The cost of everything is getting more expensive, so I haven't raised my prices in 7 years. And this year, I actually put a thing out on our website, I'm going to have to raise prices, because we just, when you're paying more for everything, your profit's going down. And the problem is that everything I purchase with that profit, all my utilities and everything else, that's also going up. I have to be able to meet that. This is the same old story you see with restaurants and grocery stores. So, anything else? Yeah.
Do you, when you package your honey, do you weigh it? Or do you
No,
assume that the,
I take it as, if you look, there's almost zero air gap. Take up so that I know. If I want to be really particular, you can buy machines that'll do that way for you. I'm cheap. I'm just gonna sit in my little kitchen now.
But you know what you can do, like where, they have that collar, like when I judge honey, they have that, is it up to that collar? There's a
Yeah.
particular mark on that. If you, take one and go up to that mark, you'll see that like that one bottle, that'll be 1 pound every time if he fills it to that same.
And I take it right up to the bottom of the lid. I mean, you'll see a lot of people, they'll put it way down on the shoulder. I don't do that.
so there's gonna be at least a pound?
It's gonna be at least a pound. And my bees are gonna make more, and I'm not gonna be such a stingy tightwad that I'm chipping people. So that's not my ethic when I'm selling stuff. I wanna give people a good product. I'm cheaper than almost anybody at market. What do you get? Yeah, $10, Steve, and I'm selling next to people that are $12 and $16 a pound. And I'm like, really? You gotta be kidding me. And the people will come up at the market, and they'll be like, I wish I'd known this before I bought over here. Well, now you know, just come back next week,
What do you get for your honey bears?
Huh?
What do you get for the?
$7.50. 3/4 pound. So, and the baby bears are $3. So,
What about the mooch?
mood jars, the mood jars are, I was 15, I raised them to 16 2 years ago. So that's still a good deal. On a mood. So the jar itself is $2.50.
Yeah, so taking
Any helpful tips and tricks for those that are still trying to figure out what they want to name their honey company?
What was the question?
That was Valerie wanting to know how you pick out a name for your company.
Well, Tippy was my dad's nickname. My dad was
Oh,
I grew up on a farm. My dad was the only man I've ever met that liked the honeydew list. And I'm the same way. I don't watch television. I work and then in the evenings, I'm doing stuff like this. I'm taking, presentations during the day. I'm not good at sitting around.
But there was something about the ears on your dad.
Yeah, oh yeah. He had tips on his ears. When he was born, he had like elfin ears. Not elephant, elfin. So he had like these little elf ears, so they called him Tippy. And then of course, eventually that wore off, but he loved to be outdoors. He would fly all the way to Antarctica or the Arctic Circle to fish and go hunting. He just wanted to be out doing stuff, experiencing life. And so when we bought the property, there's a creek that goes all the way through the property from one end to the other. And he said, of course, my dad passed away a long time ago when I was 15. But my wife said, you should name this after your dad. He would have loved this place. I said, okay, that sounds, it has a great ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That's a wonderful memory. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
My dad he would have loved to. I mean, he would have loved that place. He would have been out there. He'd have been bumming my tractor off me every time he came out. So. Are we good? Anything else? 26. I've got 12 tillable. I absorbed 2 of that, put the educational center on. And then, we have 14 timber, which I cleared a bunch of that, put the orchard in. Bees, I actually cleared a spot in the low area where the bees could sit, so they get morning sun, afternoon shade, and keeps the wind break. I don't know if that's good or bad, still lose bees in the winter. What are you gonna do? My wife keeps telling me to put a fence around it. All right?
How
Yes,
did you go from the 2 hives to, you said 40?
yeah, I'm at 40 now.
I mean, did you just overnight? So,
I started out with 2. Both of them died the first one. This is the same story for a lot of people. You don't know anything. I was just an idiot. I wanted to pollinate my orchard. Okay, so I thought, well, I'll get them to pollinate my orchard. And well, I went through the summer. I probably got 30 or 40 pounds of honey out of one of the hives. And then over the winter, I lost them. So the next year, I came back with 7. Oh, I'm gonna get 7. And then I'm gonna 10 because I was watching a Canadian Beekeeper. And that Devin Ron, and Devin Ron's like, oh, put him inside, put him inside, that'll be great. Well, I did that, I still lost these winter, so I decided the 10 idea wasn't good, and then John Hill 2 years in a row.
Only if you watched David Bunn's that year, you would have learned about this area.
Okay, Tim, it's kind of like, okay, I started out with you, like, just last summer, I went into winter with 11, came out with 9, thought I was good. But then I had 15 swarms, and I know I lost 4, so it's kind of like now I got 25, which is more than I want.
Yeah, I've got swarm traps all over the property.
Yeah.
And then people call you, so you always can make up the difference, because, and I'll always buy a certain number in the spring, but for the most part, people are gonna call me and I'm gonna get a gazillion swarms. And some of them are as simple as just walking up, popping branch and you're gone from there, so, I had a lady out, she was out between Delavan and my house. And I went out there and she says, well, these bees are just there, my husband can't. And I said, okay, and she said, can you take them? And I said, yeah. So I walked up, I had one of those yellow and black crates. And I just walked up and I hung it underneath it, they were right here, big branch on them. And so I just hung the crate under there, I took a pair of snips and they just went pop and they fell in, threw the lid on and I left. And she said, that's it, that's the whole thing. And she was like, her whole family was out there. They thought they were gonna have some big display of me running around getting stung, and it didn't work out. Swarms, they're real mellow.
I'll take like a extra ones when I'm doing it, because people, I wanna watch, what if they on?
I actually pulled a swarm out of the grass this summer.
Oh,
Big puddle, and then so I was just picking them up and throwing them in a bin, The guys are going, you can't pick them up like that. Yeah, what's the big deal, But you gotta make sure you get the queen, she's down in there somewhere, you just gotta make sure you get it. So, yeah.
So when we came to your place to visit for Bees and Brews,
Yeah.
I loved the platform that you put your hives on,
The what?
but like the platform, that, like things, do you have dimensions for those?
I do, those platforms are 16 feet long
Okay.
by 22 inches wide. That's generally gonna take a hive perfectly. And with that length, I can fit 5 hives on there. And then what I do is I rotate, this one faces forward, this one faces the other way, this one faces forward again. And then
Why?
I always tilt the hives forward. I just put like a piece of plywood along the back and just gets them up to lean up a little bit. And that way, you don't get water inside of them.
Yeah, why do you alternate?
I do that to lessen drift. Generally, you're not gonna have drift anyway, but it doesn't hurt to have them facing. Well, I can do it. I mean, what's the big deal? You know, I'm gonna go. So I just do it so that they don't, you know, if I have 2 side by side and they look relatively the same, there's always a possibility. I'm really weird about my bees dying. I don't want my bees to die for anything. That's why I don't use like silicone and vaporizer. Because I just don't like the fact that I'm burning my bees. That really bothers me. My bees take care of me. You know, they really like me. And so I do an older system of fogging. So I just, you know, and now they make excellent foggers, but this.
So do you understand what he means when he says dripping?
Like the bees dripping?
Yeah.
They accidentally go on the run.
So it's like, if there's like a ton of things around, right? You kind of come to a new place, and lose where you're. So
It's not a huge problem,
Yeah.
but to me, it's, you know, I just don't like, I want my bees, because bees are gonna come out and orient. And they're gonna, you know, if I'm facing this side this way, they're gonna come back to that hive instead of, you know, and then all my hives are slightly different, so.
So I've got my eyes all facing the same direction, so I can go behind them and work them from
Yeah, I
behind.
just work 3 on this side, and I walk around behind and work 2 the other way.
Bees don't get a lot of bids.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, this is the thing with beekeepers, every one of us are different.
Yeah.
Nobody has the perfect answer. And I can talk to 10 beekeepers about how to winterize their bees, every one of them will have a different answer. And so it's just, you know, this is just the way that makes me feel comfortable with my bees. So that's, some of these ideas I get from other people, some of them I just think of, and you know, like, I paint motivational slogans on the front of my house, because I have a lot of kids down there. So I paint these slogans on in different colors, because bees recognize colors and shapes. So not only is it beneficial to the children, it's beneficial to the bees, because then they can find their way back. So,
That's even say the bees could read it.
yeah, well, bees are smarter than people give them credit for. You know, they've established now that bees understand the concept of zero, which, you know, humans didn't have that till 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, you know, so it's pretty cool. Bees are pretty cool. Well, they're way cool. I'm like a beeholic. So,
And going back to the strip, I told somebody, okay, set your hives up facing east, so he did it this way, both of them facing east, and he was having problems with this back hive just dwindling in numbers, and this hive going crazy. They come out of this one, see that hive, because they looked exactly the same, and went in that front one. So, yeah.
you don't have to worry about that when you're facing the wrong direction. That's a big red flag to a bee. They're gonna come in from the same direction all the time, because that's gonna be the way that they orient it. So if you have 2 facing the same way, you know, it can be a problem, but it's not a problem with me, because I face them both. So it's just something I eliminated through efficiency. It's just an efficiency thing, you know. And it's just me. I'm one of the 10. Tom probably completely different from me.
And I'll do it different too.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So go and visit different beekeepers, say, I like that idea, and ask the why. And then you go, say, oh, I like that one better. That one, and see what will work for you. It's like you said, you're on a prairie, so you're gonna be a different configuration just because that wind and stuff, but you have other factors.
Yeah, see, I'm a retired teacher, and the motto in teaching is, if you see a good idea, steal it. That's what you did. I used to go to other teachers' classrooms and I'd go, well, that's cool, I did that, and I'd get the phone out, I'd take a picture. And then, you know, you could walk up and down the halls and you're taking good ideas from all these teachers, and then you end up with a more efficient classroom. So, I'm not, you know, imitation is the most
The
sincere.
ninja over there was taking pictures of your mute bottle.
Um,
Find a nicer looking bottle than that.
I just, 2 years ago, there was a gal uptown in Morton, I live in Morton. She wanted to sell, she has a little shop called Tipsy's, by the way, because she's a baker, but she bakes alcohol treats. And so she called her place Tipsy, and she said, I would love to sell your product. I said, okay, so I like her, she's a nice gal, she gives me free cookies, what are you gonna do? You know, so, yeah, I load her up with a bunch of, like, probably $200 or $300 worth of product. She puts it out. She has a really cute display, couches and old furniture. It's just a cute little shop, you know. I come in 3 weeks later and there's another guy, exactly the same bottles. He'd stolen my idea and then he was putting them in there. So I packed up, I said, we're done. Packed up all my stuff and I took it out. I don't mind people taking my ideas, but don't put it side by side with my products. You know, that's gauche.
We actually sell this bottle too, but
Yeah,
we don't seal it with wax like you do, so.
you know, and you probably don't have, probably don't have a 3D printed tag in sparkling. So there's just little things, I don't mind if people, because I'm sure there's thousands of other beekeepers that do the same thing. But don't buy from somebody else and put it on your shelf next to mine. You know, and then theirs was all crystallizing and stuff, it's just, because there's a inference that I'm somehow associated by default, you know, I don't want people to see junky stuff and my stuff sitting right next to it. Because anyway, we're way off.
Okay, that's okay. But okay, so you were selling at this store.
Yeah,
How did you price that for her?
I gave her a flat cut rate, and then I said, look, I think I took $2 off every piece of stuff, and I still have to make a profit. There's no sense in me doing all the work and then giving the profit to somebody else who's just giving me a shelf space.
Right.
And so, I did that, and then, you know, I don't like retail. Here's the reason I really don't like wholesale sales. I gotta keep track of it. I don't wanna have to go to stores and say, hey, look, you owe me this much money, or you sold this or this, and then they'll call you and they'll say, well, it's starting to crystallize after 6 months. They'll say it's crystallizing, can you give me my money back? And I'm like, you know, what are you gonna do? So I'd just rather sell all of our products at market. You know, there's enough markets to easily take care of us through the year, and we sell everything we make. I rarely have much left at the end of the year. And there's winter markets, Sharon she does the Recplex in Peoria for the Thanksgiving market, and then there's an after Christmas market, and you know, there's all these little markets that you can pick up too, if you still got winter product left, so. Yeah,
Do you think yourself out of the fun, just like a lip balm or just?
no, the thing is, the lip balms and the wick. The wick will break down if it gets over like 85. So I wanna keep the wick in the shade as much as possible, and the balms will melt. It's gotta be pretty warm for them to melt. Well,
We carry it cooler than we put our green in.
yeah, I just keep mine in the shade, that's worked for years. So what I do is I always tell them I have to face, depends on the time of day, I have to face north or east. Because usually your sales are gonna be if you're facing north, sun always tracks the southern sky. Okay, so it's gonna go east to west, but it's gonna be in the sun. So if you're facing north, you're generally gonna be mostly in the shade. And we have big sunscreens we can set up. If you're doing the morning, one side's gonna be, if you're doing the evening, the other side. So like the morning market on Saturday, just tell them I wanna be facing a certain direction, and then they set it up to me where not nice. The nice thing about being around for a while is if you become an anchor vendor, what they call an anchor, and they'll do things for you. So it's, you know, if I say, hey, Sharon, I'd really appreciate it if you do this, and she does it, you know, it's, you know, I don't like to say we draw customers in, but we draw customers. We do a lot of sales on Saturday mornings is huge.
So your 1 pound used and your 1 pound plastic, what's the difference in your price?
Those are, what do you mean the difference, what?
In price?
That's $6 more.
Oh, okay.
So I'm actually on the moves. I do a buyback program, or if people bring it back to me, I'll give them me back. And most of them don't come back because they want to keep them for flower vases and stuff. So, you know, I might sell 20 and get 3 or 4 back. Fine. I mean, you know, I made $6 more a bottle. Now you have to incorporate the cost of the bottle. It's way more than plastic. The cork is more than plastic lid, you know, and then the 3D or the 3D printed tags, I buy those for my son. He's got a big printer. He'll do 25 at a time on the table. So he'll bring me a bag of 200 or 300 and I give him 50 cents a tag. But that's how I invest in my children. Corey, my youngest, built the creek. I mean, he's the one that did the whole building. It took him 2 years after work. He works for Baldo and construction in Peoria. He would come out evenings and weekends. He would just kill himself out there. He's vested. He has already told me he'll take the company if I decide I don't want it. Okay, and then now I'm trying to get the oldest son vested. So how do I do that? He works double shifts. He's over at Liberty Steel, the old Keystone. He's a supervisor there. It's hard to get him to come do anything, but I can have him do stuff at home. I can have him make those, and he takes a lot of pride in that now because you guys, last month, we are going into meat operations. I've got 10 brand new growlers, gallon growlers. We're gonna start doing meat through the winter. Well, you know, a lot of maintenance going on in the winter. We're in the building every day. Might as well do some meat. What the heck?
And when you have your events, you cut. Right, and you can say.
But that's all on you. I mean, you guys were having so much fun with it. You know, that'd be cool. It'd be really cool to make meat. So.
Yeah, it is. It's just, you know, kind of like going there and kind of, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. If you have any more questions?
How did you get the idea of whip cutting?
Whip cutting's been around a long time. Well, I always, when people ask me what it is, I always tell them it's one, because they always think we did something. Justin, the Peoria Health Department guy, shut me down for a week. He said, you can't sell that. That's processed and you don't have a license. I said, you show me, because you said you read the regs. We read the regs all the time. I said, show me where it says that whipped honey is processed. He said, well, I'll have to take it to the board. And so he ended up in Chicago with it. And then he came back to me a week later. He said, it's not, you can find it.
That's a good thing actually that you did. So it was because of Rob.
Yeah.
We had her come and speak to our club, like what you pushed, then went through the state actually.
I don't know how hard I pushed. I just told him.
It
I just told him, I said, there's
was a
nothing.
combination of you and the Illinois
Yeah,
Special
there was nothing in there in the regulations that said that. Their big thing is about process. They don't want processing.
It's not now.
Well, it's written in there now, air is not an ingredient.
Yeah.
So if you're whipping it with air or
Yeah.
you're allowing.
You know,
to
it's
not
so
process.
simple. It's not like we're going through anything. We're just stirring in old whipped honey or a previous batch. It's like making sourdough bread. You have a starter, you mix it in, and then you just cure it. And it's like easy peasy. How are you gonna tell me I gotta have a license and a special kitchen and 3 sinks and I gotta do this and that? So I can stir my honey. It's the silliest
Well,
thing.
actually, it's not air in it.
Yes.
Well,
It's
for
just-
some people, you know.
Well, some people whip.
Whip it versus cream. So, and there is a difference,
And-
but.
And, you know, creamed isn't really an accurate term. The honey all honey crystallizes naturally. And what you do is you take a honey that's got a fine crystal texture to it, and you mix it in. So in fact, there's, information out there about if you don't have starter of old creamed honey or whipped honey, what you call it, you can take coarsely ground crystals, put it in mortar and pestle,
Yep.
grind those crystals down to a fine crystal, add it back in the honey, that will.
It will actually regenerate a finer crystal. So it's, because crystals are like living entities and they just expand on themselves. So if you break that shard crystal down into a smoother crystal, it will regenerate smoother crystals. Now, eventually they'll shard out, but you know, that's a while down. I've had whip that's lasted for 4 or 5 months before, you know, and it's, you know.
Okay, if your whip separates, will it, if you refrigerate, it will go back into that?
You can stir it. You can probably stir it and get it to go back. I mean, mine never lasts more than weeks. I don't have to worry about it. So, I mean, I put that out, it's gone.
Yeah.
And then if I end up with too much excess, like we had 3 markets in 2 days. We had the Morton Pumpkin Festival, which was a Friday, Saturday. And then we also on Saturday morning had the Riverfront Market. We're not gonna miss any of those because they're huge markets. You know, you'll make more in 2 days than you make in a month and a half in a regular. And so we had to split up and divide, have 3 different groups of people doing that. And I made, oh my gosh, I mean, cases of whipped honey. And we sold all but 3 cases. So then those will go in half went last weekend, and the rest will go this coming weekend on Saturday. And I probably won't make any more until Thanksgiving. If I get an order, like a specific order, it doesn't take long to make whip. It's not, you know, you can, if you know what you're doing. I'm not gonna talk too much about it. A friend in New Zealand told me how to make whipped honey, churned honey. You know, there's a lot of different names for it. And he said, well, you make it like this. This is how you cure it. And, you know, he said, if you take these steps, you can have whipped in 2 to 3 days. So, okay, you know, and it really improved my game. So.
I describe it to people as, Dippin' Dots, you know, when they ask about, you know, the crystallization and say, you know, how Dippin' Dots are kind of a little ball.
Cool.
You got a premium on the whip?
Premium,
Yeah,
$9 a bottle. It's cheap. I mean, if that's a 3/4 pound bottle, you know, I charge $1.50 more than I do for the bear, which is the same way. And, you know, you have a little bit more effort, you're paying for a glass container, you know, which costs more than the plastic, and you're paying for like a steel lid, which is more than plastic. So my profit margin on that is not maybe a few cents more than on the bear. But I don't consider, when you're making whip, you can make it, it's really simple. I mean, it just doesn't require a ton of time. I can make 4 or 5 cases of whipped in an hour, so it's just not that big a deal. So,
You do anything cold?
I don't do any comb. Comb for me is, and I get people asking me every single day. Every single market I'm in, people come up and say, the 2 questions I get asked the most are, do you have hot honey? Which I don't, because that requires special, you know, that's processed. Now,
yeah.
you can get away with that in tiny markets. If you go to the riverfront and do that, it's gonna be on you like stink on food. You know, he's gonna be right there and he's gonna be shutting you down. I don't want that kind of relationship with the health department. I want the health department to come to me and go, there's Rob, go to the next food. Because I don't pull any stuff on these guys. If you know anything about inspectors or anything, that once you mess with them one time, they're gonna always figure you're the guy who's gonna cut shortcuts. I won't be that guy. So, yeah, we just do things by the book. And of course, it costs us money because I would love to sell hot honey. That's easy peasy. You know, you're just gonna add some jalapeno or whatever to your honey and you're gonna sell a lot of it. But it requires special stuff. I don't get that.
Well, it's not as. The thing we've come to understand, you know, Kelly Way worked to help develop the cottage foods licensing.
Right.
And as far as we're concerned, you know, we do have to pass our recipe through the health department. They sign off on it. But we can only sell it in markets that we're present at.
Yeah.
We cannot take it to like a store and sell our hot honey through Hy-Vee or something like that.
My thing is, for me, this is just me personally, when I talk about efficiency and economy and just doing things a certain way, I don't want to have any kind of want to have the least relationship with government entities that I can. So, so if I can have a great relationship with Justin, and sometimes there's 3 or 4 health department people, well, you can tell them, they wear their shirts and sweatshorts, they're going around. If they can come to me and they know I don't have anything there, they'll just come and they'll make casual conversation. I told Justin a bunch of stuff for his fiance, you know, and just, we have a really wonderful relationship. If I'm gonna lose a little money on hot honey or whatever, fine. That's fine with me, but I don't wanna go through this. There's like even getting my trailer inspected, they require me to take my trailer to the fire department every year to get it inspected. I have to have a smoke carbon dioxide detector. I don't cook food in that thing. Why do I need to have a carbon dioxide detector, carbon monoxide detector? I have to have 2 fire extinguishers in there. You know, it's like, well, we don't have any flammable anything going on. This is what happens when you get involved with government entities, though. I'm thankful for them because they provide a service, but they always go overboard. Sounds like you've got a good relationship with them, though.
Yeah, we're Woodford County,
So,
so
and you have a college license?
my wife went through what did they call it, food manager.
Yeah.
Licensing. We have to have a sign on our, displays. We sell mostly honey straw.
Yeah.
Where we either add, freeze-dried fruit powder to get fruit flavors to it, or we infuse with like cocoa nibs, some mints, that kind of thing.
Does that sell pretty well?
It depends on the market. If you got a market where there's a lot of people with families and kids, it's like kids are always, Mom, can you get me some? Or selling the straws for $1.
Yeah, I do the honey stick. But I buy those pre-made from a company that's already like.
So we had people ask us, was the honey our own honey? And they walk away. No, buy it.
I'll sell a 500 box in 2 weeks. Because it just, I don't know, it's funny, the kids are just crazy for those sticks.
Oh,
And so and I always give. The reason I started selling the sticks was I give every child. So what I do is I give those away, use the flavored ones to cover the cost of what I give away. And I actually sell way more than. So, you know, when you're selling 500 a week, I can probably give 70 or 80 away at the market. And the kids, they all know, well, those kids are gonna be adults someday. They're gonna come back, they're gonna remember that. But that's my thought process. So, you know, everything you're doing you're doing for efficiency and bring more customers in. And
I started honestly loving those honey sticks because you don't know what you get. You might get buckwheat.
yeah, mine are, most of the ones I sell, actually the clover ones I sell the most. Clover and vanilla, those are the 2. Yeah,
Sometimes in marketing, my sister picked up, you're asking about the honeycomb. It's in a package that kind of like just a little.
like a little
package.
sandwich box.
Yeah, but no, this is different. This is like almost like a kid's pudding thing. It's
Really?
clear. And it's a cubic inch of comb, and it was $7 for a cubic inch of comb.
Yeah, the problem for me, from an efficiency standpoint, is it takes 5 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of comb. Okay, plus, if I cut that out, those bees are gonna dedicate themselves to just building more comb. You know, and so from an efficiency standpoint, plus it's freaking messy.
Yeah. And actually, we've got, my sister gave me a top bar hive,
Yeah.
and which the only way you can harvest is to crush. So what I started doing is like getting strips of the comb into a tall jar, filling it up with honey and doing it that way.
Yeah, and for me, I have so much to do in the course of the year anyway. Setting up and stringing line through my frames and stuff. I don't wanna get, and then cutting them out, putting them in, if I did sell it, it would just be chunk honey. I put it in a mason jar, fill the jar with honey and sell
Does anybody do, like Ross rounds? We've done, but
We did something similar to Ross rounds. We got the, what do they call them? Something. Anyway, they're square boxes that fit in the cassettes fit.
Something like that.
No, it's something half off or something like that. But it's just a bunch of square boxes. And so they fill it in from one side. And, you know, that, then you take it off, you clean off the box on the outside, you put a plastic cover. You know, it comes with the cover. You just snap it on and put a cigar band around it, and it's done. The only thing is we don't like using plastic. So, there was, well, I think it's still available. I think Man Lake took over from Kelly, where they sell like a wooden frame that you can stick a sheet of thin surplus in between, and you get 4 across in each frame. So it's like a shallow super. And then they build on both sides. And then you can take that wooden frame out and, you know, box that. But the one thing that we found with that, it still seemed to be a bit messy.
Tom, what about the Ross that you experienced?
So raising foam honey is kind of, you gotta have super strong hives and really strong. So if you have overwinter hives and you have strong spring flow, you can make great foam honey. There's a book. It was from, I think from Data maybe. It's in our library. You can print it online from here. It's basically you put a hive into a swarm condition. So you just jam a ton of bees in the hive. I'll draw those boxes. You have to remember though that book was written where there wasn't row crops. So they had prairies and fields of clover and those kinds of things that were blooming that made those really strong flows. Now, not to say that there's not strong flows here, like you get a sweet clover flow, things go nuts. You get black locust flows, nuts. But the cross rounds, I found they hate them. They don't like to draw them. They will eventually, but you just gotta constantly, you gotta jam the bees in the hive, and put that super on there and give them no other options, and then they'll finally. It makes.
I was thinking about playing with that, but, just the Ross thing, it's like,
I mean, try it. It might work for you. But just
Cost
because
a
it's a
lot.
I mean, it's convenient. It makes a nice clean product. At the end, I would say it's probably the cleanest. It's way cleaner than stamping out the squares and letting them drain out in the square containers and all that stuff.
Meth for me, it's meth.
It's just the ant heaven to me.
I try to figure out how to do it efficiently, but it's just too much. I like just throwing them in the extractor.
It looks amazing. Like people ask for it, but it's pretty rare.
I get about one person in the market that asks. It's really, you know, when you're in a business, you're running your business for maximum output. You can't aim for the bottom 3% of people that want to eat them. You know, I'd love to be offer everything to everybody. Just can't do it.
You gotta do what you're good at.
yeah.
No, I'm not good at it.
So Better Bee sells the, it's called half hog, half comb kits. And, a like I said, it's like the equivalent of a.
Shell.
And they go it from one side. And looks like it's $129.95. Kit. The soup or the super, and then the plastic cassette, then you can get refill cassette.
There was a neat product at the expo. There was 3D printed things that fit into a medium frame. Or I think they had one for a D frame that fit into there. It worked similar to like a rock. You'd take and dribble wax around the edge and then they would draw it out. The idea that I liked about it is you could put a frame or two of those in. Cause like for me, I don't know, I hear other people with cases and cases and cases of home honey. So like 3 squares a year, and that's it. So I kind of stopped doing it, but that's kind of appealing to me to put a frame of it in there, and then I have it for. Usually it's a bunch of old people that come and ask for it. Love it, love giving it to them. There was a kid that came up to me and asked for it, and I gave it. And I said, I don't want your money, just take the piece, because that's awesome to hear somebody young and this, all your friends about it. Because usually it's okay that's in their 70s or 80s that comes and buys it because that's the way they're used to, that's the way they love it. I just haven't developed one. But the idea of putting a frame is really attractive.
John, I spoke to John's earlier this summer. It looked like he was trying to replicate the hog half cone system with the plastic box. But he was looking at making the boxes rather than 4x4.
You're gonna see a problem. It's a real shit.
No, I don't.
Hey, PK, I'm just gonna leave this up, people can take whatever they want. Oh, I don't have to carry it home.
So Rob, the reason why we asked you to come to this presentation is right there on this table. You look at your bottles and your labeling and your branding is top notch. It's
I appreciate it.
really, really, really well done.
Well, I would normally bring my sister's stuff, but that's my sister's stuff. It's in the trailer. I mean, my sister.
This is actually
I can
my
feel-
hat, so I don't know if you can.
Yeah,
take
it is.
I wore this in, and when I saw you didn't have one, I threw it up there.
Okay, so we got 4, 5, 6.
I had a group of about 45 kids yesterday. They were fun. Well, other day, what happens? So I've got a hat press there, and I've already got the patches made.
I have one.
And I said, you got the hats, I've got 4 different styles. And so they were just having a ball.
All right.
And I sell hats for cheap, $7 is cheap for a hat. So.
That's really cheap.
I'm trying to,
Are we gonna arm wrestle for that one?
I'm trying to figure out a quick,
Rapidly way.
yeah, rapid way to get this out. Okay. Okay.
Did you make your lip balm?
Oh.
No, I make lip balms.
You do make the, I'm real interested.
The lip
in that.
balms are all natural.
Okay.
Shea butter, shea almond oil.
Birthday in November, stand up.
Oh, I thought you got a birthday today.
Oh, Chris, now you come pick something. Well, get quick, because we're moving along here. A birthday in, let's see, I did November, let's go, erase, okay, November, okay. Okay, June, my daddy's birthday.
That's me.
Okay, June, June. Come pick something. If your birthday's in June, you better cut it back quick before it's gone.
That was fun.
Okay. Okay. January.
Yep.
January.
I'll get a tippy.
There you go. The box comes with it if you want it.
Okay, January, okay, August.
Oh, yeah.
If you're August, go get something. I think we've got enough for everybody, is why I'm doing that.
You're gonna be in the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they won't open. You should.
They're all the same. They're not flavored. Yeah, all honey.
So I was just curious. Thank you. Thank you very much. Like I said, it's very top notch.
It's excellent. Thanks, Rob.
Those little things.
Yeah.
Pretty printed tag.
They left the outside sort of.
Okay.
I did, and if you find something that works, you try to. Stay with it. I was very thankful that my son could do that, because I wasn't gonna figure out how to do 3D printing.
Right. I was like, if they want to ask me about that.
July.
How slow do you make that jump?
I think.
Seven,
Okay, Sarah, time to my place and see how I've got them set up. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, like 15
Did you
tomorrow.
see- did you
Well,
see
we
that?
got the tractor.
Just
so I,
Where the pallet?
yeah.
Tomorrow, yeah.
I guess I didn't notice.
I got like.
Okay, so that pallet, they're facing that way. There's two sides on it. And there are. Okay, how you didn't get anything? October.
And bottoms and tops, you know, and he just wanted them gone. So my son and I would come over at night, net him up, you know, bag. 'em,
Okay,
take 'em
pick
home.
something.
Yeah.
And then the next year he had.
They're all there.
Okay, but yes, well, yeah. I got it. So I can work behind.
But, you know, the
These
company-
are facing that way. These are facing that way.
So
Okay.
this is
Okay.
the first time we ran that call.
Yeah. I saw.
These were, you know, these four, and these
right.
four were on the outside.
Right.
Everybody
And
get
then, you
something?
know,
You can still sell it.
yeah,
And you just throw them in a mason jar with a bunch of honey and sell it as chocolate.
well, we,
That's what's left.
Right, nobody wants to. I didn't think.
Well, everybody got one thing, and
It
so,
works.
well, they built those right out to the base.
Those are wood, aren't they?
No, those are the plastic.
Yeah, those,
So,
so you steer away from plastic.
yeah,
I generally don't, that's the reason we went to the glass was because my sister and I were both teachers and our students were like, you're doing a lot of.
yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Because I can get.
We talked about the way.
Okay.
We do about dinner thing.
Bail.
So we. Yeah, it's- Milk.
Because I find.
They dropped off
Yeah,
3-4 gallons of milk.
yeah.
Metal tray and then they took it over. That's what you do, is you do an exchange
Yeah,
program.
so.
Yeah, that's what we do too. We basically offer $1 per jar that people bring in, you know, on what they buy the next one.
I think it's $5.
What?
I offer $5 for those.
Oh, the mason jars?
Because it brings them back. And then I had, like say, I had 18 jars, 18 moose had gone through sterilization. It works.
Yeah.
They bring them back and you put the dice on. With the tag.
Well, so far, we haven't seen a single user.
They don't usually come back, 'cause the women like them for power places.
Oh, yeah, that's,
I get sell probably the standard market also. So, you know, that's like 300. And I'll make it. When you're at the same market. You're gonna be down. So some of them come. some of them don't. And then I have regular customers. They buy one of the two.
Yeah.
What we do is, we tie a laser cut honey dip onto the.
The dippers, the standard dippers, got really expensive. I used to give them away too, and now they just got. I'm giving them such a good deal on the buyback. They don't think it's- If they ask me, and I have any disagreement, It's free because really $5 back. Charge. I could buy new ones. But I just do it because.
Well, I'm a woodman. So, you know, like I make my own honey dippers. I don't make, you know, I make a laser cut one for the jars. And then we also sell a sample basket, which has, 4-ounce mini mousse and a 4-ounce cream honey jar.
Nice.
And then, let's see if I can find it. You know, and then we do, different varieties, things with the sample baskets.
Yeah, see, I build those crates. But I build most of those are special. When people buy a bigger one, like, you buy a dozen, it's built in. When we do the crates, use pallets. We just burn them with our, we have 2 lasers, we just burn them.
So there's our things.
Yeah, it's really nice. That's nice. Okay, so you're building that whole crate in your laser, you're putting it together.
Yeah.
Nice, really nice.
Although I've changed that design because, you know, this was originally done with these all separate. It still looks pretty much the same. Yeah, so I cut this as one piece. And then of course, it's gray.
Yeah. So we do, like, we have a benefit for the tourists.
Yeah.
2 weeks, we donated 2 of those cases, so we'll give them 2 cases with $100. Right, just like we do. But ours don't look as nice. Cheers, I'm using huge pallets. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Let's bring on those ones.
you know, it's funny. There's people that love the living daylights out of us for fall hunting.
Yeah.
When we first started selling, you know, people were saying, no one's. It smells like steak.
That's all right. That's right. Your golden rod.
Yeah, but you know what?
Oh, you like it?
We did a taste test where we let them take 1 spoon and we put a drop of ball, a drop of salt. 63% was our, you know, we did it just one season. 63% preferred the fall.
People ask me about what it's like, and I said, well, I'll compare it to beer. You got light beers, you got regular beers, you got stouts. And fall hunting is your stout, you know, and you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite. I like fall.
Yeah.
I like the darkness of it. I like the fragrance of it. No, I don't like it real, but I do like it.
Yeah, but it doesn't, once you get it in the bucket, you really don't smell it.
No.
So, you know, it's like.
Most of my later fall was these, you know, at least one super on top, and then I generally, I cut candy board, I'll cut like a super, I'll build it. So about half, and I'll screen the bottom, put the newspaper in there, and I'll just pour milk over the, you write them, and then it'll harden into a rock candy. That's my favorite. They last year, they do all their food.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We tend to, at a youth, the candy board, we will take, you know, like, we save our meat crates, we get, sugar from, Italian sausage from Aldi.
Really?
And then we mix up the sugar just to get it wet, let it dry.
But I
Of
never.
course, we mix in some,
See, now, Tom gave me. Like some kind of sugar, it's not like, add a little water. Just yeah. I was thinking, that sounds better than trying to melt it on stuff.
Well, we just put like a shim bed
Yeah.
all the way around. And then, you know, like, you can just lift up, you know, we use what's called so, you know, just as screen blocks with chip, we'll lift up the box, and if they start heating that up, they'll just throw another, you know,
Yeah, usually it has to be a really strong. Through the super and through the. I don't, and I always keep spare candy bars around where I can just, if that gets down to about 30, I'll just pull it out. Usually around February, you get a nice day, where you can pop the top on it and see if they're coming up. If they're eating through it, I'll keep an eye on it. Then I'm worried they're gonna eat it all before.
yeah. Well, we started with, Dave Burns had those honeybee kinds, which is basically like. And I didn't like it because after a while, those honeybee kinds just drop all the sugar down on top of it.
Really?
So I didn't. I guess I would
I have trouble. You wanna give her-
But anyway, that was just. When we just, you know, and at first we tried mountain Dew, I hated that.
I never have been able to bring myself to like mountain king. It just goes all over everything.
But, you know, like with these, you know, like you just have a sugar block about that thick. You don't leave it in that styrofoam, just take it out. So you just got a block of sugar.
See, I've just got a huge stack. 40 or 50 of these candy bars containers. They all have a vent at the back. They're all screened 1/4 inch screen. So then I set it on the floor in the barn,
Yeah.
lay a thing of newspaper on it. And then I just melt 10 pounds of honey with 2 cups of water. And I just pour it in.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it'll take a week. They'll eat that all winter, but it's a pain. And so Tom, like, hey, just use a hand mixer, mix it all in one, and just shovel it in. He said, it's damp, it'll stick. So I don't know if that'll work, but I'm gonna give it a shot. You know, that's beekeepers too. We can steal like this.
Well, and, you know, I got, like, we went to see and, I was watching some Bob Benny videos, and he was talking about how, there's some university studies showing that the fall goldenrod honeys are not, if you've got a hard winter, you can't get out there.
Really?
The food, because, the golden honeys have a higher percentage of the salt. And so for that reason, you know, our logic is get those supers off and keep them feeding until it gets to the and, but then the other thing is we take our single deep and we've got extra boxes. And we take half of that beef and leave it at the bottom. We put foam, styrofoam boards, or smaller boards to sort of reduce that area to the size.
Right.
And then we put the other bite up on the back. We make sure there's no, blanket of the main group. Because the bees don't like to cross that. You know, like, say you got this big an area, I've lost times where they wouldn't cross it.
Yeah.
And so I make sure that they got, yeah. So I make sure that they got a solid path. That's where I put my sugar.
Like I said, everybody does it differently.
I did try, using, high light bonding. And, you know, it says Well, I think I know what happened. Because I reduced my area to the size of an inch.
Yeah.
Okay, and I put that black piece of fondant over there that
Right.
you're supposed to just cut. It's got a logo in it about this.
Yeah.
You're supposed to just cut out that logo, put it face down underneath.
Right.
Well, I think that piece of plastic like that captured moisture, because I lost 4 hives
Yeah.
to moisture.
Yeah.
They were just wetter than heck.
I had a real problem with moisture this past winter. Mostly I lost these because I think, I moved down there early enough and just, it was warm. It was really warm winter. And I think they just came to what I have. And then I got, because I was ill and I wasn't watching the way I should have. I knew that I was probably.
Yeah,
I still have enough to get through the summer, though.
Yeah.
But I lost time.
yeah, I lost more hives than I usually do. I was closer to 55%, I think it was.
I didn't lose quite that many, but I did lose.
Oh, I had 55% pain.
Oh, I did.
I
guess if I lost 40, I thought about that about 60 left.
But normally, doing what I do, I never have less than 80% retention.
So that's really good.
So,
I go, I insulate, I put on foam board all the way around. I leave the top, once you drop a lid on it, there's only about this much of the candy bowl that's showing. I leave that open so I can pull that off, attached to the bottom. If I paint for it, I just drive a couple of screws through with those round roofing pegs they use for tar strips. And then I can just take it off, on every side, there's gonna be 8. I just come out with the drill, zip it right off. Yeah, last year I dropped the ball. But I made him up with, we made 110 hives from John. And then I did splits and picked up swarms.
yeah, I was, what was it? Oh, the year of COVID. I had a comedy of errors in that.
Do you guys carry any liability insurance for selling your honey?
Oh, no,
No.
I don't know. I carry $1 million policy on the building.
Okay.
And then that's supposed to cover liability. And it covers, like, I actually got a discount because I do education there.
Okay.
They gave me like a 10% discount on my premium.
So, but that's for the building and liability on the premises and stuff.
Right.
Selling honey for work.
Nobody's ever done it.
I know, I've never heard of
It would never happen because I don't take any honey that's gonna be janky.
Right, but selling product is usually a business insurance, not a liability insurance. So if you've got like a liability policy on
Oh, I do.
the Kidney Creek.
Yeah. I had to get that separate because my homeowner wouldn't cover it.
Right.
They wouldn't do it. So I had to go to another company and they gave me a discount on the building. They insured the building and then they gave me a discount for being an educational center. And then they threw on $1 million umbrella policy on top of it. So that, and that's, it's not cheap.
When I heard you say with insurance, it just triggered me thinking of that better business for years. I thought, I wonder if we started, never got thinking of the self that we need is that.
See,
Because it's something-
when it was just the property, my homeowners covered it. But as soon as I put the building on, they would not cover it. So I ended up having to go to something else.
So your homeowners covered the sale of your honey?
No.
No, it only covered the property. They,
Okay,
it
right.
didn't cost me any more to cover that farmland than my homeowner's policy premium. And then as soon as I put the building on, boom, they drop, they're gonna drop. They said, well, we'll cover, I said, why would you cover my house and not cover my farm? I said, because you're gonna do education.
No,
Let's just say, and I,
State Farm.
there.
I used to work for State Farm and they wouldn't cover, when we moved out to where we are, they wouldn't cover that kind of stuff and I switched over to Country Financial.
Yeah, so I went with Envision. They're right uptown on Main Street and I went in there, I'm a friend with my State Farm guy, I've known him for 30 years. And I'm a friend with the Envision guy, so I just went, come on, I said, can you do this? He said, yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's what. He said, that's State Farm. So,
So it's started to have ranch, farm ranch policies, but that's really, they're more like in the Texas area. We don't do that stuff up here, but I don't know why, because that's how we started.
Still got them on my house, car, you know.
I switched over to Country Financial.
Then we'll not cover the building. It's just so.
And I asked them about that. and They,
So for your honey business, liability insurance.
yeah,
When
well, see, I asked them, you know, what did they cover? You know, can, if we start selling honey,
Girl up front has, time up.
you know, I said, you know.
No,
we
no.
take care
It was my pleasure.
of that. And he said, yeah, that's covered.
You know what? Join the club. Because I've been doing this.
But then there was something that Sharon started doing all her cosmetics stuff, you know, that it gets some.
Just different things, and the same things I'm already doing. I just think it's one of the coolest things about Beekeepers is that you meet a person.
Oh, yeah, and what they do is.
And then it's
You have to meet people that already care about the environment, care, and they usually have a heart of an educator and the willingness to learn.
I think so. Teacher, my sister, retired teacher.
I understand that because.
How you doing? We have made my time.
I got yours.
You were.
Rob, is your thumb drive?
No, I don't think so.
It's probably just not close.
I got mine right now.
Oh, okay.
I think that's hers. That's just still in the system.
Oh,
I bet if you shut it off and try to turn it back on, it won't come up.
What?